Happy Thursday and welcome back to the Rival and Queen podcast. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Sarah. And we are in our virtual studio today, always digging into the fun. What?
We've had so many COVID road bumps with recording.
What's COVID?
Yeah, what is that?
To be fair, though, that will all make sense. That will all make sense to you a lot later. But to be fair, we are not sure at this moment if our producer is alive, missing. We don't know where Mark is.
He was feeling left out.
We haven't heard from him in a week. I called him 2 days ago. I still haven't heard back. So Mark, we hope this episode comes to light. You will be key. If you're listening to this episode, everyone, Mark is okay.
Mark has helped us. God love him. He's going through what we went through, but I think he's okay.
We think he's healthy and well. We just haven't heard from him in a few days. He might just be taking a break from he might be using COVID as an excuse to take a break from us and our antics.
Oh, no. No way.
Yeah. Oh, no is right. Or maybe he's getting ready for our big event that's coming up this weekend.
He better have, because my taste buds were gone a little bit, but his better be back too, because he's going to weigh in on the cookies too, Sarah.
Sunday, guys, we're doing our famous chocolate chip cookie tasting, and we are going to get to the bottom of where you can get the best chocolate chip cookies in Halifax. We've got a list of like 17 places right now. We can't taste 17 cookies. Like, I think that's crazy.
Is it? I don't know.
I think we did.
I don't know.
I think we did 14 last time and we were sick. Do you remember how sick we were?
Okay. So I saw Nicola, who is our Pilates instructor, and she's going to be helping us again because she did the first time. And I saw her at the gym the other day and she was like, buddy, I'm so scared for the cookie tasting because they're so good. I just want to eat them all right away. So we have to, now that we know what we're in for, I think we will be able to pace ourselves differently. But in all fairness, we only take a little piece, maybe like a quarter, less than a quarter, I would say, depending on the size. But then sometimes you need to go back to that one or compare it again against a different one and have another little taste. Like, we want to take this seriously, Sarah. So we need to ingest as much of the product as possible.
We do. And for everyone listening, like, I know you might think we're joking, but like, we learned a lot from our last cookie tasting. I think you're right, Ashley. We get a fifth of the cookie and it's like, you can't go to town and eat that whole wedge. You can only have a bite or maybe a second bite, but you need to keep it to come back to it. Maybe it's very
and sometimes
precise.
If there's one that you don't like, because it's so much easier to tell when you're eating them back to back, then that one we just need to put to the side and not go back to and move on to the better ones.
You can't finish the fifth of a cookie. Like, that's the crazy thing, is there's no extra room. This is like we have to approach this like a marathon.
And a cookie, I'm not eating anything other than, actually, we need to have green juice. No, that would be too much sugar too. We need, like, I think, lettuce after.
I know. Like, how do we counteract the cookies? We're going to have probably some wine as we taste them, but not bone broth. I don't know if we're going to do what?
We need like bone broth, something to like take our bellies down.
And maybe some like lemon water in between to cleanse our palates a little bit. Like, all right, we're thinking of everything.
It's a rough life.
And it's a rough life. And what we've been sharing on Instagram, if you haven't seen the cookies that we're planning to taste. So when you're listening to this episode, if you're listening on Thursday or Friday, just know it's the very last time to weigh in. If there's any cookie kingdoms we have yet to discover or we've missed out on our list, please DM us and tell us right away so we can get them into the batch for, this. I'm feeling very excited. I feel like we've hyped up this event. Okay, I have one idea that has come from it, though, that I want to share. I think when we asked everyone who they recommended, we got a lot of individuals saying they have the best chocolate chip cookies.
Just going to say that people were saying that they make better one. And you know what?
it brought
Bring
up
us
the
a cookie.
idea that maybe we should do like the homemade cookie crown at some point. Like we need to create
Like a year from now.
a year from now, like a second or like 6 months from now, we'll do a second cookie tasting, but it'll be like the homemade edition. And like our listeners will be the ones creating the cookies and we'll have to judge them like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you aren't aware of this already, well, most of you know that I love chocolate chip cookies. And I did this myself last year. I made a bunch of chocolate chip cookies. Ashley tasted them all. I made her and Jeff taste them side by side and weigh in, and we picked.
I think you made recipe. 4.
Mm-hmm. I made 4 or 5, yeah. And the milk bar was the winning recipe that I found.
Mm-hmm.
Second,
I can't wait.
I know. These are going to be. Anyways, we're going to have a blast. Speaking of treats, Ashley. Well, actually, before we speak of treats, can I just tell you something I did that's embarrassing? Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it didn't happen. It almost was really embarrassing. I went skiing for the first time last week. I was so happy on Friday. I've discovered that -23 is too cold for skiing.
Fair.
Don't recommend it. But on the way to skiing, I was like debating whether I was going to stay over in Wentworth for the night. So I got my sister to drive. I am not a great car passenger. Like Ashley knows this. I've gotten sick in her car. It's just like, it's not a great place for me to
But
be.
not in my car.
No, not in your car. I
Thank
did,
God.
however, my most embarrassing time I got sick was I was driving and I got sick in my car. I was also hungover though. So, and honestly, I like tried to open the door to throw up, didn't quite get it far enough and up and went on the inside pocket of my car door. How do you clean that?
Gross.
It was not, that was one of, do you know what? Actually, now, as I said that, I've realized there's multiple other really bad ones, but I'm not a great car passenger. So anyways, my sister drove us to Wentworth. Obviously, I didn't eat breakfast because as you all know, I'm not great at getting up early. So I was late. I was rushing, didn't eat breakfast. I ended up feeling sick along the way. I did get sick on the way right before we got to the hill, and that was fine. But then we get there. I'm like, it's all right. Okay, we're here. I'm going to go skiing. There's going to be fresh air. I'm going to feel great. Anyways, of course, we're on the chairlift and it's like swinging. And I start feeling nauseous. And all I could think of was like, what am I going to do if I get sick on a chairlift? Like, I actually was so worried. We had to go inside after because I was too worried. I like couldn't ski for an hour.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm like, where would it go? Oh God. Could you just imagine someone throwing up off a chairlift? No.
I don't know that. I didn't think about, I was thinking it would just land into like the snow below you, but I guess there's people potentially going under you at that time.
And also everyone in the chairlift watching you. Well, anyways, needless to say, that didn't happen because as soon as I felt that like wave, we got off the chairlift and we like slowly skied down. And I was like, we took a break. I was like, I cannot risk this. This is, I don't know. That would be, I think, the most horrific event of my life if that happened.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad it didn't. And hopefully next time you drive and feel much better.
Forever. I'm going to forever drive to the ski hill from now on.
I know it's kind of a windy road back there. Not for you.
Me.
No.
Not for me. No. Ashley, after we talked to our guest today, we had the very lovely Sylvia Beirnes on and Jonathan Torrens, the creators of the Canadian Content Studio. And we're going to tell you more about that conversation. But before we do, a lot of our conversation focused around food and snacks, which we love. But it got me thinking about the weird chocolate bars and candies you see in stores that you see and never eat or buy. We talked about cherry blossoms being one that you said your mother liked.
Yeah, she does.
Have you ever eaten those?
I don't think so. I feel like as a kid, I remember her buying one or eating, like not all the time, but I remember she definitely likes them. And I think I was just so grossed out by them when I was a kid. And the cherry, I don't really like fake cherry stuff like that. So I think I probably tried it once when I was little and just wrote it off. I don't even know what it tastes like, to be honest.
I'm wondering if we should do like a grocery store run and then like buy all the weird chocolate bars and actually do a live and taste them all.
Well, we do have $20 from Superstore, which someone gifted us in that the local sock. So Sarah, we could just buy bars.
Maybe I think we should do this. Like I think that could be a very funny event, is you and I tasting weird chocolate bars. I started making a list of some of them. Remember the a Charleston Chew? Like I've never eaten that.
What?
Like,
that is my favorite chocolate bar, period. Like Jeff so for you can only get them really in smaller sizes because they're huge at Freak Lunchbox. I know has them, and they have little mini ones. And Jeff will often put them in with like my Valentine's Day gift or my birthday, because I love anything with marshmallow, that fake, whatever it is, the Santas you get that are like marshmallow.
Those I love.
Those are so good, which brings me to you would love a Charleston Chew. Oh my God.
I've never had one.
Oh my God. It's harder and more chewy, but in a good way than the Santas.
Okay. I don't know. Like for me, that chocolate bar was always in the camp of the cherry blossom, and that like one I just saw but never ate.
I think it's like a stealth killer. Like, if you know, which brings me to my next bar, which we were talking about quickly before we hopped on, which is kind of a hideous one. It was like the Golden Nougat or something can you picture the package? It was clear with red, and you can kind of see a little window through what the bar looked like, which was white marshmallow look and texture with like almost gumdroppy looking jubes, something like that. But those are delicious too.
I've never had that. Okay, so that would be one to try. The other one I thought of was remember the Dream Bar? Like I really don't want to try this. It was like, I think it's like coconut covered in chocolate.
Dream Bar. I like coconut and chocolate.
Do you?
Yes.
That combination puts me like it makes me think of being car sick, if I'm being honest.
Oh my goodness.
Wow, this is like a really tied together. All these topics are coming together for us here in the most disgusting way.
So funny.
I don't know.
Are you thinking the Bounty Bar?
Oh, Bounty, not Dream. Bounty.
I just Googled it, but no, I like that. I mean, I did. They probably the chocolate isn't probably as good. Now I enjoy more local, like real good quality chocolate, but I used to like them. Almond Joy, that's another one.
Oh, I've never had that. Okay, I'm putting this on the list.
It's the same, but with almonds.
I like almonds though. I think almonds, I could be into that. I think you and I need to go to Freak Lunchbox or some grocery stores and find these weird bars. And I think it's settled. We're doing a weird chocolate bar tasting. Whatever bars we've never tried, we're trying.
Yeah. And if anyone has any recommendations, write us, because maybe everyone has their own like guilty little pleasure with these sorts of treats.
Or maybe people are upset that I was, downplaying the Bounty Bar. Maybe that's like some, I don't know, amazing thing we need to try. I will say one that's often like I forget about, but is so good, is the Mirage Bar. I love those.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Oh, that's a goodie. We got to get you one of those.
People, thank you if you're joining us for the first time, because we're talking about cookies and all these crazy snacks. And you should wait till the episode starts too, because we're really going to do it too.
This is a very food forward and snack forward episode. And I hope Jonathan appreciates that, because I think we let him down when we played Queenie Grams at the end. So we just want to show some love to the snack foods.
If you're listening, not in your car and you're listening, you're at home, grab a snack, because you're going to be hungry after hearing this.
All right. So in the episode this week, guys, as we said, we have Sylvia and Jonathan here, the creators of the Canadian Content Studio. Sylvia came from the corporate world. And for anyone who grew up in our era, hopefully you remember Street Cents and Jonovision, which is how we think of Jonathan. And so they both came from these different backgrounds, and we really dive into today how they came together to create the Canadian Content Studio, how it really helps scratch that creative itch they have, but also let them bring to life these projects that really mean a lot to them. So podcasts, TV shows, commercials, they have so much fun in what they create, but they've really focused this business around creating work that is meaningful for them. And it's kind of a really different process of bringing TV shows and things to life.
Yeah, such a fun and good conversation. And before we hopped on, I was saying to Sarah, who we had as a guest, Chris Green. I was just listening to Sylvia interview him, and it was such a great podcast episode. So many good tips and tricks. It's called Your 2 Cents Podcast. Everything is like about financial kind of like tips and tricks. So definitely check that out too.
And we love money. So we love this podcast.
Money. We need
love money.
The tips.
We love the tips. We love the trips.
We will come with tips about purchasing multiple cookies and chocolates. We'll tell you how we financially, maybe there's like buy 4, get 3 free or something, or 2
we're gonna make the snack adventure a fiscally savvy one.
I think we should.
we're combining Sylvia and Jonathan's 2 passions.
There you go. They can get on board.
I love that so much. All right. Before we dive in, if you want to connect with Sylvia and Jonathan, you can. Their webpage is CanadianContentStudio.com. And you can connect with them on Instagram at Canadian Content Studios. And also check out their newest show, Who Do You Think I Am, on CBC. It is so heartwarming. We are obsessed. I've watched a bunch of the episodes, so I'm very in love with it right now.
All right, let's dive in. All right, well, we are so excited to welcome Jonathan and Sylvia to the virtual Rival and Queen studio. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us. So many blonde people.
You know what? The blondes are taking over.
We're everywhere.
It's beautiful. I'm loving it.
Well, it's so good to connect with you again, Sylvia, because we actually knew each other from years ago back at St. Vex. And I had always been seeing your guys' posts and a lot about your podcast. I know you had Alicia McCarville, you had Sarah from the Birds Papaya. And that's really how Sarah and I wanted to get to know more about what you guys are up to at the content studio. So can you guys kind of tell us how you met and how that started?
Do you want me to tell my story?
Do it.
Let's hear your story first. And then here's what I love when we have
I should walk away. And then when you're done, I should come back and tell my version of it. Should I? I'll take these off and you give me the high sign when it's time.
Oh my God, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay.
Okay.
Sylvia, tell us.
This is now so scary because I'm so nervous. Okay. So my dad worked in TV. I had known about Jonathan sort of peripherally for a long time.
Are you finished?
Just come back and sit in.
It's making me sweat that he's not listening. Oh, he's not going to listen. Okay. So, sort of later in my life, I was at Tom's Little Havana in Halifax, which is no longer there. My dad and his friends used to hang out there all the time. We were there. Jonathan was there with a bunch of people and left. But when he left, there was a whole bunch of food sitting on the table still. And people went over and ate all of his food. Because at the time it was like peak Trailer Park Boys and J-Rock was everywhere. And I DM'd him on Twitter and was like, just so you know, I just watched people eat your leftover finger foods. I don't know that it's good in any situation. So anyway, we started going back and forth. I had a blog at the time called This Needs to Stop, and it was sort of a pop culture sort of thing. So I interviewed him for the blog there. We formed a mutual love of The Bachelor, started a Bachelor pool, and the rest is history. Here we are.
Come back. Jonathan, come back.
Sylvia had a blog called This Needs to Stop, and she interviewed me about The Bachelor.
You got that? That's amazing.
Is that it? There's nothing else?
That's how I remember it. And then Sylvia and her now husband, Jordan, were going on their honeymoon to California. And I used to live there, and I sent a list of 2 pages of things they should do for their honeymoon itinerary. And how many did you do? Quite a few.
almost all of them. Jonathan legitimately gave us like the inside scoop to California, and we did a lot of them. Like I would say at least realistically like 5 to 7 of the things.
So you planned Sylvia's honeymoon, basically.
I did.
Right.
Here's
That's
what you do. You go to Malibu Seafood, but you buy a bottle of wine before you go. You can walk across the PCH and eat your seafood on the beach with a bottle of wine as the sun is setting. Like that stuff that nobody tells you.
And it was all like the stuff that made the trip phenomenal. Drinking by the pool at hotels, going to Runyon Canyon, which we would have never done. Like all of the things that are now, I'm like, are my favorite things to do if I ever get to go there again. But yeah,
memories.
and it worked.
You guys became friends, like internet friends, I guess, very quickly.
We did. And so if you fast forward, whatever it is, 8 years, 10 years, I had a couple of shows in development at different networks in Canada, one at CTV, one at CBC. They were in development for 2.5 years and ultimately led to no's. I was kind of frustrated with the traditional process of development and ultimately unfruitful, unsatisfying, demoralizing, all that stuff. So I wanted to find a way to you have two options. One is sit on the couch and go, man, it's not fair. And the other is, well, how can I circumnavigate this traditional system and make things and then see if I find an audience? Sylvia started to work with us we have a podcast, Taggart and Torrens, and we worked really well together. So we kind of had this notion that if we make stuff that we like, that's coming from a passionate, genuine, sincere place, technology is pretty cheap. We can make pilots for not that much money and then hopefully find a sponsor to pay for it or then have something to sell. The age-old thing about development is if you are lucky enough to go in the traditional development process, there are so many cooks, not one chef. Everyone gets a vote and stops being what you meant. So then in the end, this thing that isn't even what you meant doesn't get picked up and you're like, well, what was the point of that? So at least now we can make something that is what we meant and let the people decide if it's good.
Oh, there's so many things about this I love. So we both come from startup backgrounds and like hacking things together to get things off the ground and test if there's an audience and buyers is kind of like the philosophy of that. And I love how you guys have applied it to television. I used to work in TV, so I used to go to MIPCOM. Jonathan, you might both be familiar and sell TV shows, but it's so different from what you imagine. So for anyone listening, like literally like you have like a one pager, like a one sheet that you're showing like network execs to try to pitch a television show. But exactly like you said, Jonathan, like from idea to creation, it is years and then also can get crushed kind of at like if the executive you sold it to leaves the television network. Well,
happened to me a lot. Or if you know in your heart, this is a good show and you're relying on gatekeepers to say, I agree with you. The odds are very slim. And usually people in those positions of power want to at least put their stamp on it or change it or morph it and you think it's good. So I might as well bet on the one pony I believe in, which is what we can do.
Oh, I love that. I love this new take on TV. And I don't think people understand how radical it is. It is like a totally new approach to media.
Well, I think in my case specifically, I lived in the States for a long time. There, you're so arm's length from the process because you're waiting for your manager to talk to a director, to talk to a casting director, to see if they've heard from the producer, to see if the agency, whatever. So when I moved back to Canada, just generally, I had so much pent up creativity and nowhere to let it rip. So Sylvia has a nose for money. She can create opportunities like MacGyver, like a stick of gum and some dental floss. And like, how did you do that?
We need you.
Yeah. So it's been a very fruitful partnership.
It's been really interesting because when you say that it's radical, I don't know that I've ever thought of it that way. Like, I think we're just doing things that come really naturally to us. And I think that's why it's working, is because we're not really trying to do anything that is against the grain of who we are. And we're not trying to make things that don't feel like us. And we're just sort of leaning into the things that feel right. And I think at the beginning, we were really focused on make pilots, sell them to sponsors. And even that's really evolved since we've started. And so we just kind of keep going where the work that makes us feel good is, and good partnerships are there. And that's really what we're trying to check off. Like, we call ourselves Funny, Fresh, Feel Good because we want it to be those things, but that's not just in the content we're making. We want our sets to be the happiest place people show to. We want to pay people quickly so that they're thrilled to work with us. They're not sitting around waiting for their bills to be paid. So we really try and make sure, like, I kind of joke that we might need to develop a more toxic work environment because we really are trying to foster something that is like truly a good place to be, and people might leave because they need more edge than what we're able to provide them.
They need more drama. I feel like you could bring in, like, just do like a team bachelor night or something, like find some drama outside of you to share amongst yourselves.
I also know from working on a lot of comedy shows over the years, sometimes there's tension on a set, and it just seems so counterintuitive to what you're trying to do, which is make people laugh and make jokes. So at this stage in my career, I don't want to have the $100 club where people are doing favors and making $100 a day. Our philosophy is I want to pay people their very best day rate. We just don't have a single extra person. So in our case, I've made better salaries for each of the jobs that I do. But if I write it, produce it, perform in it, direct it, all those little salaries end up being both what I meant and a decent day's wage.
Oh, that's incredible.
You guys must be such role models now for other people in the industry that see how you guys took this approach and kind of like how it's been so pleasing and fruitful for you guys. It just seems so genuine that you guys just love what you do so much.
Well, thank you. That's awfully nice to say. I don't think either of us are willing to accept that, but thank you. It's nice.
Wouldn't you agree? I agree. I think this. We're huge proponents for following your heart, so we love seeing this. But since, like, the purpose of Canadian Content Studio is to create some of the content that you love, like, what are some of your favorite projects that you've worked on, or that you are working on now?
Do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
Sure.
We need both of your takes on this.
I would say one of the nice things about what we're able to do is I'm a middle-aged white guy. I'm very aware at this moment in our history, it is not my time. But as someone with a platform and a resume, I'm hopefully able to amplify people whose voices aren't seen on TV. So one of the shows I'm most proud of is a show that Sylvia created called Who Do You Think I Am?, in which Madison Tevlin, a young woman with Down syndrome, is the host. Sylvia, you should tell the story because it was your idea.
I know Maddie through lots of strange and wonderful ways, but one day she wanted me to come up with a brand for her because my background was in corporate marketing, and Maddie knows what she wants. So she came to me looking for a brand. And so I went through an exercise with her, just trying to uncover the things that she really wanted to, like, share with the world and what was her message going to be. And none of them were about having Down syndrome. And I said to her, why don't you want to talk about having Down syndrome? And she got really mad. And she said, I'm tired of being judged. People stare at me. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm so sick of it. And I said, well, do you know that lots of other people feel judged? I'm an outgoing blonde person who is often thought of as being a dumb blonde. And she's like, you're not a dumb blonde. I was like, I'm aware of that. But when people look at me or they see me speak or they see me act a certain way, I'm not exactly a wallflower, that they would assume certain things about me. And I picked up the phone and I called my friend Jenny and I called Jonathan and I was like, is this her show? She has this magnetism about her and this wonderful zest for life. And also the, just the ambition to break down anything anyone tells her she can't do. She's so determined to do it. But she was truly shocked that she wasn't the only one who was being judged. She thought having Down syndrome meant she got judged and therefore she was alone. So that idea we took and made it into a pilot. And she interviewed in the pilot a guy named Hambone. He's covered in tattoos. He's a big burly dude. He looks like he would be a scary guy, but he's actually a vegan who rescues puppies and his favorite color is pink, and he owns his own barbershop, and they fell in love with each other. And it was just this chemistry. It was everything we hoped it would be and more, I think, truly. And that's what we used to sell to CBC ultimately.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Amazing. And this show is out. It just came out, didn't it?
Yeah, it just came out on CBC on the 7th of January. The guests are incredible. There's 10 episodes. We've got Juice Box from Drag Race. We have the Birds Papaya. We have Taylor Lindsay Noel, who was on Oprah's Favorite Things. The people we're talking to, Laura Vuxen, who sends musical instruments up to Indigenous kids up north. Like, we really had incredible guests in the season. And I think Maddie's story gets propelled through that, but also their stories do too.
Oh, I cannot wait to watch this. And for anyone listening, we'll link this in our show notes so you can go check it out as well.
What does
Awesome.
it feel like for a project to then come to life, like from creation to actually seeing it out now, like that project? Like, what does that feel like? How good does that feel?
Feels great, but part of this model is in addition to paying people their day rates, we don't hire, as I mentioned, more people than we need. So it's so Street Cents DIY, our little shop. There's really the two of us. And every now and then we think we could probably farm out this, like someone booking a hotel or booking a flight for someone. There's kind of false economy, right? An engine works best when each of its parts is doing the thing that they're best at, and there's as little overlap as possible. So, two writers wouldn't be as efficient and effective as a director and a producer, for example. So our heads are down and our noses are to the grindstone, probably looking for the next thing that we don't often stop and go, it's working. Sometimes we have what we call Friday afternoon kudos calls where I'm like, remember when you answered the phone? She's like, yeah, remember when you wrote that thing? And remember when we had this idea? We're doing it. But we probably don't do that enough.
No,
I love Friday kudos calls.
We have an acronym. Sometimes you just get the acronym in a text and that's all we have time for, which is the truth. But it is true. Like we are really just so focused on continuing to grow this business that sometimes it's hard. It's also not the most fun to have all of our shows premiering during COVID. Like there's no wrap party and the launch party. Like, so that sort of like outward excitement is sort of taken away, which is a little bit of a drag. But I think the excitement is in knowing, Maddie sends me messages about how proud she is or how excited she is for the next thing. Like that's a really amazing feeling to know that the platform that you're helping to build is working for the people that you intended it to work for. It's really cool.
Another thing with this model is we're in a position to give battlefield promotions behind the camera too to people who've never done certain jobs. If they're ready for a bump up, we're in a position where we can say, I believe in you, you got this. And to watch people sort of land in their own confidence is pretty cool.
Lean machine.
Do you get to work with this? Do you find you are working with the same people frequently when you're putting shows together and creating different productions?
We have a pretty dedicated dream team. It's obviously challenging sometimes because everyone's busy and you're trying to book people months out, but we definitely have a pretty core group of individuals that we go to over and over again because there's a shorthand, there's an economy to that. The thing that I have discovered in this business, my pet peeve is when things take longer than they should. I have a pretty good handle on how long things should take and I'm pretty happy in my home life. So my default is no one wants to go home sooner than me, because I've worked on things where people want to drag it out and make it last longer than it needs to. So I think it's a pretty simple recipe, create a happy work environment. People are fed and appreciated and feel that. I also like an environment where the best idea wins. So if I'm a grip on a show and I throw out a joke and it makes it in the show, I have a vested interest in the outcome. I feel ownership of it. I'm proud of it. I tell people about it. That kind of PR travels too.
Yeah, it's really important to us too. I love the model of like Freaks and Geeks and how they were like, we're going to make all of these people famous. Like when Freaks and Geeks kind of crashed and burned quickly and then became sort of Judd Apatow's passion was like, all of these people will work again one day. We really love the people we work with and they are part of this ecosystem that is working really well for us and in the environment we want to be working in. So why wouldn't we keep giving opportunity to people? It's great when we see people showing up in more than one place at a time. And I also think it's this testament. I heard Reese Witherspoon say, look behind you to see who needs to come forward. And as Jonathan was mentioning, like we get to do that too. And I think those things all together are really great. That sort of repetitive work that builds the shorthand, but also making sure that this isn't just about us. This is about the entire team and what the opportunities are for them as well.
Oh, I think that's just so refreshing for this industry where you see often a lot of turnover and you don't always get to build those relationships and people don't always get to advance as quickly as they want to. I love the approach of what you have created. I think for people in television and film, it's just such a breath of fresh air.
Can I tell the cutest? Oh, sorry. I'm going to step on you. I was going to say, here's the cutest story about one of the things I've been the most proud of. I don't even think I told you this, Jonathan. When our editor got engaged, she sent a message to myself and my producing and directing partner on Who Do You Think I Am, who she'd never met before, but they worked on all the edits together. And they got so close during that edit that when they got engaged, like we got the message together. So like we're building this sort of like love in the background that I just cannot get enough of. Like, I think it's the best feeling in the world to go, oh my God, they're strangers. And now they feel like family to each other. It's pretty sweet.
I love that so much. Oh, this is so cool. All right. Are there any other projects that we need to check out?
Vollies?
Vollies. We were lucky to encounter this guy named Paul Gardner at Bell 5 TV. They make video on demand content for Bell subscribers. And he's like, look, I don't have a whole lot of dough, but I need content. What's the idea that you're most excited about? Don't pitch me the thing you think I want to hear. What gets you fired up? And in my 200-year career, I have never been asked that question. And it was like Road to Avonlea, like, oh, why? Oh, like I was almost like old-timey overcome, like, oh boy. Like asking someone creative, what turns you on? It was like, oh my gosh, I love this guy. So we pitched an idea called Vollies about volunteer firefighters. There's a volunteer firefighting department in my community, as there are in a lot of maritime communities and small communities across Canada. And they're so vital to the fabric of the community. And they do so much more beyond just fight fires. So I thought, I haven't really seen a comedy show set in a firefighting station. And then my second thought was, well, we could never afford fires. So then I thought, well, what if we had a firefighting department that didn't have any fires? What would they do with their time? So that's kind of how we arrived at Vollies. So we bought a 1979 La France foam pumper fire truck for $6,500. And it's so heavy, I kept getting it stuck in my driveway because I live on a dirt road. And I finally emailed Paul and said, are we getting a second season? Because if we're not, it's going on Kijiji tonight. And he was like, whoa, wait. Don't sell the truck yet. Let's do a second season.
Oh,
So
amazing.
I love having that kind of relationship with a network person who's like, I'm not going to get in the way. You guys do what you want to do. But I always say, I'd rather a quick no over an 18-month maybe. So if you don't like the idea, you don't want to buy it, no problem. Just for the love of God, give me my life back. So Paul is,
let me sell the fire truck.
yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
Like Sarah said, very similar to kind of the backgrounds in the industry and the startup community you work in. And especially we work in polar opposite ones, but similar. And you kind of just want to know, are people interested? Do you want to work together or stop wasting time? Which
big time. I had a manager who used to say, no is the second best answer in Hollywood. And at the time I rolled my eyes, but it's true. You just want to know. Just give me my life back.
Like if you're dating, whatever you're doing or something at work, if something's not working out, just like cut the cord
and move on.
Yeah.
Well, I always say, if you have to ask, like those people who are like, sorry, what are we? If you have to ask, you know the answer.
Yeah.
Like when I'm ordering flowers for my wife and they say, would you like to say who it's from? I'm always like, if she doesn't know, we have much bigger problems than these flowers. No, I would not.
I better get that thank you text at 5 p.m. or something is going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sylvia, I have one last question just for you. As someone who's newer to this industry, because Jonathan, I will tell you, I did watch Jonovision and Street Cents Jonovision. Obviously, lifetime fans.
Baby.
Nice.
Yeah.
But Sylvia, for you coming into this industry and it being like new, like what are some of the things that you are enjoying about it?
Oh my gosh. I think, I mean, a lot of it really. COVID certainly hasn't made it the most, easy experience, I guess, is the terribly phrased way to say that. The joy of all of this is like, I have such a creative brain, but I also have a business background, and I left the corporate world because I felt like that creative itch was not being scratched. I was really excelling in my career and I was on a fast track to be able to keep growing in that, but it didn't feel right. And I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to really be doing with myself. And I had grown up, my dad worked in film and TV when I was younger. I had been on sets from when I was a really young age. So I knew that, there was this world out there that wasn't maybe as glamorous as I thought, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I think the message I sent Jonathan was just like, I want to work in TV. And I did it sort of at like thinking nothing would ever come of it. But now that it's here, I love the fact that we can have a conversation that seems like it's maybe going absolutely nowhere, or we'll be talking about The Bachelor or something ridiculous. And then all of a sudden it's an idea and we can make it come to life. We've made Bachelor parodies on our digital series.
We watched when Steph Bullock's in it, who is
exactly
Saint of X with us.
Yes, she is.
Shout out Steph, we love you.
Yeah, we're just keep bringing everybody in. But the fact that like the things that you find truly enjoyable and make you giggle can be a thing that you can watch, and we get to make that. I love. I directed for the first time a couple of things over the summer. That felt like I was where I was, really learning new things and sort of growing my brain there. So, I mean, there's a lot of business stuff that happens in the background to get to all of these things as well, too. And Jonathan and I make a great team on that side because we come at things in some cases so similarly and sometimes in completely different ways, but it gets to the place we need to go. But I love being on set. I love seeing people excited to do things. I love when someone make someone laugh on set and it's like you're doing everything you can not to laugh because it's just so good and it's going to be so good. Like, I just think there's so many sort of pinch me moments along the way. I don't do a very good job of ever really soaking it in. And I think Jonathan caught me and at the end of Vollies, and I walked outside after the last day and he looked at me and I burst into tears. And I just like, that's who I am. I'm either like 100% smiling or sobbing. And I don't cry very much, but it was just like, it really hit me like, oh, we just did a thing. Look at all these people that just got opportunities for the first time. We had a lot of first time actors and a really diverse cast. And it was a dream come true for them. And you realize that like you're part of the dream come true because it's also my dream come true. So I'd say I love so much of it. And I just love that we have built a business where I can go to Jonathan and say, can we try this? And he's like, okay. And then we try it. Or he comes to me with something and we try the thing he wants to do. It's just, we've built a really strong partnership where we can be honest with each other. And that allows me to maybe go places I didn't ever think I had the guts to go to sometimes, but it's been really fun.
Ooh, I love all of that
so much.
And Jonathan, give us the experienced industry members' perspective of what you're loving most about this new era of your career.
I'm drunk on my own power. We can make a decision so fast. We always err on the side of overpaying people. It's just, we're pretty aligned in our way of thinking as far as how to treat people. And it doesn't take longer than it needs to. We can have a quick conversation and pay someone immediately. Or I know this person isn't necessarily right for this thing, but we do owe them a solid. So can we just deal them in somehow because that feels right? I just think, if you treat people the way you would like to be treated, as cliche as that is, then it keeps them coming back and just feels good.
Oh,
yeah. There's so much waste in our business too. Like, sometimes if there are a lot of trucks and a lot of gear and a lot of people and a lot of stuff, you're so much further away from the nucleus. But the smaller and tighter and more invested everyone is, I think the better the experience and the better the outcome.
Ooh, can I add one more thing to my answer?
Sure. No. Sylvia, we will accept that.
I love the days on set where I come from corporate life. Like, you're supposed to be so productive and so buttoned up and so serious, and everything has like structure, and you have to, and I also was like a young woman in my world that was very male dominated, that I often felt like I had to work extra hard to be the most buttoned up and the most whatever. One day on set, we were filming in a convenience store, another show we did with Bell 5 in the fall. And Jonathan looks around the room and he says to the crew, everyone gets to pick a snack. And we all got to run around a convenience store and pick a snack. Like, I know that I could go to a convenience store and pick a snack. Like, I'm a 36-year-old woman. I can do that. But I felt like a kid again. And I was like, hell yeah, I get to pick. Like, I just got permission to go pick a snack. Those moments of levity when you can like drop your guard of being such a tight ass for me are really fun. So Jonathan has a wonderful way of like injecting, like, does everyone want an Egg McMuffin right now? Like, I think it usually comes through snacks a lot of the time, but it just creates a moment of like, we're having fun. Let's have an Egg McMuffin or a bottle of cream soda from the convenience store.
If you don't have time for an Egg McMuffin, you're doing it wrong.
You know, that is an important life motto. I can already tell you that's going to be like the marketing material for this episode. It's your face with that quote.
It's a t-shirt slogan.
And I
If
love
ever I've
that
heard
all
one.
this started based out of the food at, was it Little Tom? What's it called again? Or
Tom's Little Havana.
That's so funny.
You missed
Oh, I
that part of the
forgot
conversation.
that. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a few years ago.
Well, that's how I slid into your DMs in the first place, to get you on the podcast, because I had spotted the food vultures who stole your
Right.
half-eaten food. Mhm.
How does
But
it
you picked
feel
up.
to be that famous that people want to eat your leftovers?
I don't even know if I can answer that question with a straight face.
Like when Adele took, doesn't she have a Celine Dion's
Yes,
chewed
chewing gum.
framed in her living room?
There's someone
Can I tell
that
you a
has
funny
more
story?
chewing gum. Yes.
It's not even my funny story. I was on the Jan Arden podcast and I was saying, at your level, is there anyone that you meet that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's who it is? And she was like, yeah, Anne Murray. And I said, like, I know they've become friends. I said, does it ever stop being weird that you're like, that's Anne Murray? She said, never. And I said, have you ever stolen anything from her house? Because they had a slumber party a couple of years ago. Jan was doing like a celebrity golf tournament. She was like, honest to God, I had a shot glass in my hand. And I was like, Jan Arden, you put that back. She had a little souvenir from Anne's house that she was going to take. She's so funny.
She is hilarious.
It's really
Yeah.
funny.
Love her.
I love that story. Like two Canadian icons. That's amazing. And they're
And
Shoplifting
Anne is the
for
coolest.
us. I love that.
That's so
I mean, there's been times, don't get me wrong, I used to watch Street Cents and Jonovision too. I've had times where I've texted Jonathan to like do something for me that I'm like, oh, never thought that would happen. That's a
You're
weird.
like, I've made it. I've made
Like,
it.
yeah.
If that's
Anyway.
the bar of making it, aim higher, people.
Jonathan, you just don't know how we looked up to you when we were
I guess
growing
so.
up.
I guess
I have
so.
to say I did Google Jonovision earlier just because I was like, I need to like relive this vibe. And the Mr. Dress Up one just kept coming up and coming up. Everyone was like, Mr. Dress Up, Mr. Dress Up. So
Well,
I
the thing-
watched it. It was
The
so
crazy
cute.
thing is, it was before the internet. So if you lived in Halifax and you wanted to see what kids in Toronto were wearing or listening to or talking about, you watched TV.
Mhm.
And so it really did kind of like a communications railway connect the young people of the Canada at a time when it was either that or like a subscription to Chickadee, right? Those were your only two sources.
I don't even know what that is.
I feel
Really?
Is it a magazine?
Like the Bop, those
Like, no, it was like highlights and Chickadee. They were like, weren't they like,
It's like National Geographic for kids, kind
for
of.
kids?
Chickadee.
Yeah.
Ooh.
With like
Okay.
little games and stuff inside. And I think
Yeah.
too, like, it's funny, like I wrote into Street Sense in grade 12. I had a beef. They came to film at my house. I was brand new at my school. It was currency. Like my mom was so thrilled that they filmed at our house because she's like, you're going to be fine at school. You were on Street Sense. Like it was her comfort level of knowing that I had like made it in grade 7. She's like, you don't need to worry about you. You're on Street Sense now. I'm like, okay.
Do you know what? I went to St. Pat's in Halifax. Working at McDonald's on Quimple Road was more social currency than being the guy on Street Sense at the time. Like, hey, it's free refills.
Oh my God.
Like that was a
Extra
cooler
fries.
thing.
But that's what kids care about. You need like unlimited root beer.
It's all coming back to food. I don't know.
I
To
think
people's
that's-
hearts, it's through food.
I think that's
Yep.
Jonathan's
true.
like gift to people is food.
It is. Yeah,
Love
you
that.
feed people, treat them well, they'll keep coming back.
Absolutely.
We love this.
Okay, I think we should play a game now.
All right. Before we wrap, this is the most important part of the show. I need you to focus. Super easy. You're each going to take one of these. We're going to play Queeniegrams. You pick a number between 1 and 144, and we'll ask you a question. So you
Why is
and
this
you'll have-
episode 144?
No, this is episode 114, but we only have 144 questions. We're going to ask you a question.
Oh, got it. Okay. Sylvia, you go first.
Okay, I'll take 13.
13.
Ooh.
Ooh. Let's see. What is your favorite 5-cent candy? Jonathan, you're going to have to answer this too.
Oh,
This is so
Get ready.
fitting for the theme.
this is so fitting for the, considering I was just shopping in a convenience store. Fuzzy peach slices.
Those are
Sarah
good.
had a craving for candy earlier too.
I'm actually, as soon
Oh,
as we're
did
done, I'm
you?
going to buy candy.
Do it. Get some fuzzy peaches. And like, I like, this is gross, but I like to like have them in my mouth for long enough that the sugar dissolves and then you eat them. That's an overshare, but I love fuzzy peach slices.
All right.
We like honesty. Jonathan, what's yours?
Well, when I was a kid, you could buy a Chrysler Cordoba for 5 cents.
What is it?
It's like a huge boat of a car. My parents had 2 of them. Like the doors were 6 feet long, like super heavy doors, and all 5 of us kids could get in the back seat. The first one that popped into my mind was a Bazooka Joe. Like a piece of gum that came with the little comics in them. I haven't had one in a long time.
I think that's a comedian in you, maybe.
Is it? Oh, those jokes?
Yeah, like maybe you like. I like that answer. I've never ever heard a human in my life that's their favorite 5
Say
cent
Bazooka
candy.
Joe. Well, I'm trying to think what other 5 cent candies are there.
But don't you think it's also so consumer savvy because he got a comic and a piece of gum? Like I think it just speaks to his Street Cents days.
He knows.
Yeah.
What's yours?
I like the grapefruit and the cherry. I don't know if they're cherry blasters.
Oh, yeah, I like cherry blasters.
But
I like cherry
kind of
blasters too.
Sour, a little bit of sour.
I thought you were going to say cherry blossom, and I can't think of a single reason why those still exist.
No.
Oh,
those are like my mom likes those.
Your mother likes those? I don't think there's another human around who likes those.
Hideous yellow boxes.
Yellow boxes?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Disgusting.
No.
I might have to buy one of those just to try it. That's going to be our live. The cherry.
Your mom likes cherry blossoms is another good t-shirt slogan.
This is great. We're going to have a lot of excellent content for this episode. I can't think of what my favorite 5 cent candy is. Oh, that's not true. I like the sour dinosaurs. Those are my go-to number 1 all the time. I mean,
a Sour Patch Kid is satisfying too. No.
Well, like you like those. Those aren't mine. Jonathan, now it's your turn. Pick a number between 1 and 144.
Okay. I'm going to pick 20.
20.
Some low numbers.
Ooh. This is the universe is with us on this one.
Is it a food question?
What are your 3 essentials that you have in your fridge or cupboards at all times?
Well, you're excited for this answer?
I am. Like, I feel like it's going to be good.
Every day, I have Starbucks coffee that I make at home, French roast. So that's one.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of an umbrella category. My wife is a phenomenal baker. So something that Carol baked, as vague as that is, she makes chocolate chip cookies with score bits. She makes cupcakes from Magnolia Bakery. She makes cinnamon buns.
We need to be friends with her.
Yeah, she's a phenomenal baker, but one of the weirdest kind of bakers in that she doesn't ever really eat what she bakes.
Ooh.
So there's a lot of stuff around all the time.
Dangerous for you.
Super dangerous. And I guess the third thing would be chippies.
Mm-hmm.
Chippies. Ooh.
Makes it sound more fun when you call them chippies, salt and Vinnies.
My mother-in-law only calls them chippies. She's like, who wants chippies?
Isn't it fun?
I'm dying at the salt and Vinnies.
Salt and Vinnies.
My friend Stacey calls dill pickles dill pickies.
Oh my God.
That's cute though.
Chippies, chippies, like when you chant it, it's super fun.
Oh my, you just leveled up my chip
I
game.
can't wait for my husband to walk in the door when we're done. And I think we should start chanting
chippies.
Okay.
And make him go get us.
Let's do it.
That was the downside of, I've started doing this thing when people say the pandemic, I say the what now? As if I haven't heard of it. And people are like, COVID. It really stops people in their tracks. Try it. But that was the weird thing about working from home the last 18 months is that the chip bag was always open. So I found myself hand bombing like a handful of salt and Vinnies mid-afternoon. Like, what are you doing? The kitchen is always open. It was problematic.
Survival mode.
Yeah.
Okay, Sylvia, what do you always have in your cupboard?
I feel like my kitchen's so not as fun as Jonathan's house with Carol's amazing baked goods, but we always have a Costco-sized bag of pistachios, shelled pistachios. We often will have like a quick pistachio break at the end of the day before we walk the dog. So there's
this piece doesn't have quite the same ring to it.
No. I don't. We'll try and make something
You
happen.
got to come up with a cute
stashies.
Yeah.
Stashies. Maybe it's stashies. So we'll try that maybe. I always have Smart Sweets in the cupboard because I have such a terrible sweet tooth and all I want to do is eat candy all of the time. And I really try to not do that. So I usually have a bag of Smart Sweets, and in the fridge, almond butter? Like, that's so lame.
Come on, dude.
I have so many
Mine are
allergies. I
very
can't enjoy
exciting.
anything in my life.
Sylvia, answer this question. I shouldn't have eaten blank last night. Like, what's your, if you fall off the wagon, what is it?
Oh, this is also so lame. I love like the vegan cheddar skinny pop.
Oh my God.
I can't have dairy,
Sylvia,
so my options are so limited.
I'm
It's
with
so
you.
lame. I suck. Like, I think this would have been a much better question if you were like, the booze you can't live without. Like, I could answer that question for you. I can't eat anything.
That is.
I'm with you. I love skinny pop, popcorn in any form.
Same. I would eat popcorn till the end of time. And I wish I had a better answer for you right now. Well, no, I never have. If I want like a really good treat for myself, I usually have to go buy it from somewhere because there's some really great like dairy-free bakeries and stuff in my neighborhood, but I have to like leave for those things. I can't just go like crush. Like, I always have a box of cookies for Jordan sitting around, but I can't eat them.
Fair.
I always have Orville Redenbacher kernels because I like to make it on the stove.
Stovetop.
Nothing like it. I've tried the
Real
air popper. It doesn't work.
No, I make mine on the
I'm with
stove
you.
with fresh, like melted real butter on top.
Yes.
Is way better.
I will attest. Ashley makes the best popcorn, so she knows.
It's my
Your gift.
I'm proud of it. Okay, so I'm gonna say my three things. I'm gonna agree with Jonathan. Definitely coffee. Always have coffee. I'm gonna say mixed nuts. I'm kind of like you, Sylvia. Jeff and I are always just like grabbing this jar of nuts that's like constantly refilled and very expensive.
Very.
Oh,
Exciting.
nuts.
That's why you have to get them at Costco.
No, I
The
agree.
Costco bag of
Costco's
pistachios is like,
I have
that's
to
where you're
mentally
saving money.
prepare myself to go to Costco, but I
You do, but it's worth it for the nuts.
There's another t-shirt slogan.
I don't know. I was gonna say frozen fruit. I always have smoothies. Mine aren't very
Oh,
So do
exciting.
I.
I think mine are like a mix of all of these. Do you know what I'm really into right now that I cannot live without? And like there's like I was going to say North American. It's not North American. This is a Nova Scotian company called Vivo, and they make sweet water or it's not sweet water.
Like
it's
a
sparkling
sparkling,
fruit, but it's like from fresh fruit juice. Anyways, I have taken to drinking that mixed with water every day. So that is like now a staple of mine. I'm not great at eating in the day.
You'll see it everywhere now because until you told me about it, I see it everywhere. Super stores,
It's so good.
all the little.
Why do you have to cut it with water?
I don't like that much sweetness. I like to water it down.
It's a juice spritzer.
It's a juice.
spritzer. We're a crazy bunch of people.
I feel like it's just like a can of juice is too indulgent. So I like to do watered down juice. Anyways, I'm not saying this makes sense.
The truth comes out.
I also have the stashies in my cupboard. Those I've been living off of. So Sylvia, thank you for the cute nickname on those. And thirdly, although not exciting, I always have, I'm really into hummus.
I'm gonna say eggs.
Like,
Jonathan's so disgusted with all of us. I feel
Who even
less
are you
bad.
people?
But like I will say I don't always have them, but often I have a glass jar that I keep filled with candy of like whatever I'm into. But
That's fun.
But I usually eat it.
That is
So
fun.
it's not always there.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Well, everyone listening is probably dying for a snack or to go to the convenience store right now and pick
Go get
something
some-
better up than what we've all
Some
got.
salt and Vinnies.
That's right.
Although
Go
I
get
will
yourself a
tell you,
snack.
Jonathan, I did live on salt and Vinnies when I had COVID. So
Did you?
oh yeah. Do you know what the pungent flavor
When you had what now?
when I had COVID? Oh yeah, no, what's that? I'll tell you about it after.
Not important.
Thank you both so much for coming on. This has been so fun to get to know each of you and learn more about the Canadian Content Studios. We're just so happy to be able to connect with you both.
And if you wait, I want to put in a plug. If you need any extras for any of your projects, Sarah and I are always ready. Like, you know,
Oh, don't say
out
it.
of the
We'll put you
goodness
in
out of our
something for
heart,
sure.
we are always ready for a good laugh.
if you're like someone came down with some mysterious illness and they can't show up on set today, we've got 5 minutes till we need someone here. We're your gal.
It's happened before. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, it sure has. You guys live in Upper Canada, right?
Yeah, Upper Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, next time you're in the 902, let us
we
know.
are in
They are
Halifax.
the 902.
Oh, I thought you were in Ontario.
No, we're in Halifax.
we are in the
Oh,
was
well,
just joking.
we can commit to putting you guys in something right now in April if you want.
Yeah.
Sign us up. We're
We're
down.
making deals. This is great.
Hey, haven't even told you
You'll
what
have
it
to
is.
come back. That's okay.
That's all right. We're enthusiasts.
We roll with it.
We've built a strong trust over the last few minutes.
Yeah, we sure have.
I'm into it.
Where can people find you online?
We are at CanadianContentStudios.com. We have an Instagram, Canadian Content Studios. We are on Twitter at CanCon Studios.
And
That's
we're
where
going
you
to
can
link
find us.
all of this in the show notes for
Oh,
everyone.
well, Jonathan. Well, and then we have our own personal, like Jonathan's Torrens Jonathan on Twitter. And I'm just boring old Sylvia Beirnes on my social channel, but that's where you can find us.
We love that.
Amazing. Yeah, we will link all that in the notes and everyone can check out all the fun projects and maybe see us in the future in something.
Yes, we'll be there with you in April.
Good.
That's
All
where
right.
you find us.
Love it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for
Thanks so
having
much.
us.